What's up, guys? You know, one of the cool things about this is that... Oh, sorry, I had a little...
Was that me?
Yeah, let's turn these down a little bit.
Holy shit. We're starting off on a great foot.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a neck beard. We have feedback. This is a good day.
Exactly. No, was that... Shit, I forgot even what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, because I look at some of these videos and I've been losing weight steadily so I could track my progress.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look, I'm less fat this week than I was 2 weeks ago. So that's pretty awesome. So, guys, welcome to the Mansplaining Show. This is a show for guys by dudes. It's where we take a look at issues of the day as well as offer advice to the 22-year-old versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm one half of the Man Show, Dave Germain.
I'm Jacob Hamill.
Hey, what's up, guys? I want to thank all the folks who subscribe to us, who have followed us over the past week or so. So big shout out to Drew Ways, who's my brother. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. And Mr. Divian, who's not technically my brother, but he's definitely a brother as well.
Nepotism, it's all over the place.
Exactly. It's actually way easier than hitting people up at Christmas time for money. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's we wanted to say shout out to all those folks out there. Let's see. This week has been an interesting week in the comedy community out here in Denver, Colorado.
Well, just in general, honestly.
Oh yeah. So let's see. We could talk about the stuff that's on the internets right now. Tony Hinchcliffe is on the internets, who is apparently, basically, it's what from what I understand. And I'm very ignorant of the situation. I'm just gonna say this is how I perceive it. You let me know if I'm wrong because you actually saw the video.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was on stage. Was it a Kill Tony or was it just a set in Austin somewhere?
I think it was just a set in Austin somewhere, and a Asian comedian brought him up. Mm-hmm. And, he tried to be funny and call everyone race traitors, called the Asian dude a C-bomb in Asian land, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Let's just say it sounds a lot like a part of your armor that's exposed.
Right.
I don't want to get nuked, but from over saying just the word.
Right. But he was trying to be funny, right? Or was he?
He was.
Or was he just going? I mean, because there's a difference. Sometimes we've seen in other situations where like a comedian comes up who fucking hates the other comedian and just decides to nuke the whole show and decides that he's just gonna fucking rip into a person, which is very, very rare. That's normally only done by an amateur comic who doesn't give a shit about the crowd and stuff, right?
I've had it happen to me, so that's
Oh, really? Who did that to you?
A couple when I first moved here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Some snooty fuck that isn't here anymore, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, fair enough.
I won't name him because I just don't want to even talk about it because he's an asshole.
Okay, fair enough. Did he move to New York City with another gal?
Maybe, but allegedly.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just trying to figure out who it was. So yeah, but either way, he's trying to be funny, and some asshole who doesn't give a shit about anybody else's performance other than their own and want to get attention without actually doing the work to be a fucking comic.
Yeah.
Records it, puts it up on YouTube, and like, look at this.
Yeah.
That's the impression that I got. Like I said, speaking out of ignorance here, guys. But like that's kind of like folks try to do. They did that with Louis C.K. They've done with a lot of comedians. There's a reason why. A lot of comedy clubs now they use the Yonder, which Yonder is a service that basically before you go in you have to put your phone in a bag that gets locked up and they will unlock it for you when you leave. So they do that so that way nobody can record sets inside of a comedy club because when comedians are working on shit, there's a lot of fucking hit and miss, and you got to work it out till you find the joke. Yeah. So. You know, like they did that with the Louis C.K. thing about the was it the Parkland school shooting?
Yeah, because he had a joke about it, and the thing was, the outrage behind that one was so dumb, because if you listen to any of Louis C.K.'s shit, that's the kind of humor he has.
Yeah,
and he was talking about how like he was basically calling out some of these Parkland kids who were like, "I'm a hero." And he's just basically like, hey, listen, all you do is push a fat kid out of the way.
Yeah.
And they just fucking run out the front door. That's all you fucking did. You're not a hero.
But
that's his style of humor.
Right.
And I thought it was kind of funny, honestly, because it's just very blunt.
Right.
And that's what he's always gone for. So for you to get mad at him over that, that's just...
you weren't paying attention before. Yeah. I mean, so either way, that was the gist of what I got. I saw a couple of... comics on my feed who will remain nameless, but they're like, I can't believe this guy would do this. And then I've seen other comics who have like, yeah, I don't like the guy either, but this has been his comedy for him since fucking day one. So I don't know why you're getting pissed about it now.
Not just that, but also they'll start dogpiling on him.
Oh yeah,
and they'll start bringing up either accusational shit that from the past and all kinds of shit. I've seen it before with other comics, and now like his talent agency dropped him, and I don't know, man. Like, it's just
which, by the way, if he wasn't, how many times did you ever see Tony Hinchcliffe? The only thing you ever saw him was on a roast battle.
Well, he wrote all those roasts.
Yeah, he wrote a lot of those things, which means that he was a writer for it. That was Comedy Central. Which, by the way, from what I understand, you're not making a shitload of money doing that if you're doing Comedy Central. Most of those things, when it comes to TV, it's not till if you get to syndication, which is 6 years. And still, even like most of the places, like the way the contracts work now, they're going to make sure nobody's ever getting Seinfeld money again.
No.
Like, that shit's never fucking happening. It's like, there used to be, the dream was, you get on a sitcom, you work for about a year or two, and then you just live off the residuals for the rest of your life. And that's not how that shit works anymore.
Nope.
So it could be that, like, oh, we lost, you know, this is the weird thing is, like, I think that particular crew, like the Rogan crew, it used to be called the Death Squad, but that was from Opie and Anthony. Because when Rogan would come in and he had like Brian Redband with him, and then he would have like Irish Shafir, and he had these couple of guys, these other comics that are with him because he always brought his friends with him. They're like, Rogan with his Death Squad comes in here. And so then the Redband created like, you know, Death Squad thing. And so, but the whole thing was those guys have been fiercely independent for the longest time. So it's not like they all, depend on one or the other. They work together, but they've been able to make a living outside of Hollywood. So Hollywood, like shunning them isn't really going to do a whole lot because they're like, yeah, I don't want to fucking do TV anyways.
Well, the problem is nowadays, and we've seen it here locally, is that whenever somebody like that, like if Tony ever does a set here, like Comedy Works, they're going to boycott the fuck out of it. I mean, I'm not going to, but people are going to.
Yeah, there's always been people that were like, oh, listen, I'm not with him. Fuck that guy. I can't believe you would put him on there. And I'm like, yeah. And I know I've heard this before, probably on Rogan and stuff, but I'm going to be completely honest. There's a lot of comics. Some of them are funny, but most of the comics that fucking dogpile on that, you're really not that funny.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm funnier than you. I'm not, but you're not that funny either.
Yeah.
So like, it's basically like, it reminds me of the people that rather than actually put work and get better at what they're doing, they just want to be friends with the people who do better than them, and they think by association they're going to be successful too. So that's what we call a fucking poser.
Yeah.
And you're wasting everybody's time and get the fuck off the stage.
Also, there is a divide in comedy in general nowadays. There's the guys that are like Rogan-esque, like fall in line with him.
Right.
And then there's people that fall in line with like
not Rogan.
Well, yeah, people like Moshe Kasher, like those, like that woke shit.
Yeah, but even those guys are cool with
No, they're not. They will bury you just as fast as anyone else.
No, I mean I thought they were cool with Rogan for the most part.
They might be.
Yeah,
I mean, but like at the same time, like I remember watching that dude from Adam Ruins Everything on his show, and he fucking body bagged him. He was talking nonsense. Rogan called him out, and he didn't have an answer for it because he's so used to living in a bubble where everyone's like, oh, yeah, totally, you're right. Oh, my God, you're so interesting. You're so right. You have a TV show on True TV where you ruin everything. You're fucking amazing.
Which I liked that show, to be honest with you. It got kind of weird at certain points in the later seasons.
Yeah, but like a lot of the facts he would pull up were garbage. If you actually look into it, it's actually not true. There
was this stuff until they started getting into more like super political stuff, but it was things kind of like, no, that really isn't the case and stuff. So
I watched this one on gun control, and here's a thing that people don't understand. People think gun control is racist. It's not. What it is, how it started at least. Yeah. It wasn't about race. It was about the fact that it was about unions. You know that?
No.
Yeah, they about unions. Back in the day, back in the early, like talking like back in the Rockefeller and like
Steel Baron days, that
when they were
revolution.
Yeah, they would try and fucking unionize. And back then, that's some brave shit, wanting to be unionized back then. So what they would do is what these companies do is they would hire basically like militia groups to fucking kill these dudes. And so what the unions did was like, all right, we're gonna arm ourselves. And then all of a sudden, people in Washington who were getting their pockets filled by these fucking steel barons were like, yo, pass this gun control so these assholes can't get guns, so they can't fight back when we try to kill them. Yeah. And that's where it came from. And you could read the Anarchist Handbook about that. Like, that's a Michael Malice thing, but he talks about that. But yeah, that's where it all started from. Is from the people they didn't want people to, they didn't want people to defend themselves against like all these fucking militia groups that were trying to kill them because they were trying to unionize.
That is kind of trippy. That does like because I remember seeing videos and stuff like that, or like old movies. Like, yeah, this is when the cops were coming to break up the protest, and this was like a union protest, and they just come like full on just beating the shit out of people,
shoot people, yeah, all kinds of shit.
That was one, and I got to look into this. So I'm remembering this from like a thing from back when I was a kid, but like FDR sent the National Guard in. To break it in and send it to actually defend the people.
I think it was GM. I think it was a GM Motors.
Yeah,
something like that.
To defend the people from the police beating the shit out of them, and he was like, "No, they have the right to protest or something."
Because they're doing. I think that they weren't striking. They were doing a sit-in or something like that. Right. That's basically like where you show up to work, but like you just don't do anything. You sit there, you know.
And which is probably a really tough thing for him to do at the time, just because the prevailing fear, especially back then. About communism was really, really, really strong, and so they saw a lot of unions as being an arm of the Communist Party on one hand, and they were also most of the unions pretty much were run by the mob.
Yeah.
So basically, what happens is that you have an organization. It could be a foreign entity or it could be a criminal entity, as they would call it, that have the power to shut down transportation of all goods and services on the East Coast, or if not the entire country. And so they could see that this is a threat, so they try to do whatever they can to pretty much break all that shit up. Some of it, like, I can kind of understand that you didn't want, like 5 families controlling all of your transportation.
Yeah.
So that part I kind of understand, but the way they went about it, doing it, like Kennedy's like, hey, I need your help to get elected in Chicago. Oh, wait a second. By the way, now we're coming after all of you.
That's my opinion on why he got shot, but that's another tinfoil hat thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think the mob got his ass.
You
don't fuck the mob over at all. That's not smart. Doesn't matter who the fuck you are. Even if you're the president.
Yeah.
You don't fuck the mob over.
They're going to find a way because everybody's got something, and they always got a little bit of influence on whatever it is that you're doing. So,
yeah.
Oh, you like banging a lot of young girls? Oh, that's funny. I happen to have a lot of young girls here. They're not going to tell me nothing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. It's like I'm going to take photos of you doing it. No,
yeah, it's not exactly. It's not like we're going to do that at all, And
Step in this room that has like some paintings that have holes in them.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, don't worry about it. Those are cameras behind those holes. Don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be paranoid.
What? Because we got a lot of mirrors on there?
Yeah, come on.
What are you talking about?
They're not two-way. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Mirroring on the ceiling. I'm not watching from the upstairs doing nothing. Come on.
No. I'm not standing over your mirror beating off.
Yeah, exactly. Why would I do that?
Yeah, come on.
Sense. Why would I do that?
What kind of monster do you think I am over here? Fucking.
I'm going to watch you? Please. I'm going to watch me.
God, I hate my neck beard so much. Don't ever grow one. Guys, here's one quick piece of advice. Don't ever grow a neck beard.
Yeah.
Don't. I mean, I'm not doing it on purpose. My razor shit the bed.
Right.
I have like a Mach 3 meant to buy blades, but they cost like a mortgage payment.
Dude, why don't you just go do Dollar Shave Club?
They're owned by Gillette too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, did they buy them?
Yeah, they bought them. They're like a subsidiary now.
Those fuckers.
So, yeah, well, I mean, if you ran a company and someone's like, I'm going to give you $5 billion, you'd be like,
okay.
Your principles are nice and all, but $5 billion.
Well, they weren't trying to save the planet and defend manhood or anything. When they're just like, I'm just trying to sell razors, dickhead. Like, I'm not trying to make any freaking political post about it.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Gillette really hasn't done any of that shit once all that shit backfired, I think.
Oh, with that fucking dumbass commercial they had. I remember that dumbass commercial. That commercial was the worst.
Yeah.
It was, dude. People are starting to realize, I think, that this woke shit's starting to kind of like go turn south, which is awesome to me, because I have always thought that political correctness was soft fascism.
Yeah.
Always thought it was, and it is. It just fucking is. It's just some asshole telling you what to say and how to say it.
That's it.
That's all it is.
It is a really strange thing that I always remember thinking, like, because I grew up in a world where there was more conservatives than there were liberals, at least in the places that I grew up in.
Yeah.
So I always kind of like, man, I wish these guys would be more open-minded. I wish they wouldn't be so angry about everything,
Yeah.
And then it always comes to this thing, like, if you ever watched the movie Serenity, and there was, the big thing between, like, the brown coats, which were, like, the independents versus the central planets, and they were like the corporations and stuff like that, but they were all peaceful, had all the resources and shit.
Yeah.
And there was like a classroom which is like, they don't like us because we meddle. We get into their heads, and they're like, we're not trying to tell them what to think, we're just trying to teach them how to think. And I remember that self in itself, like, no, you can think whatever you want, but I'm just trying to teach you how you should go about thinking about it. Well, that in itself is a form of control, but I also understand where they're coming from because there's a lot of assholes out there. It's, like there's a lot of folks who are like,
yeah,
well, you know what? I don't need to think about this anymore. I've already come to my conclusion. Anybody else who thinks differently is a piece of shit. See ya.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But like my whole opinion on that is that because I've done some mental growing. I mean, not to pat myself on the back or nothing, but at the same time, like that was of my own volition. Like and it stuck better. If someone's telling me to do something, and let's say I do it, eventually I'm gonna realize, even though I'm doing it, I'm like this doesn't feel right, and it kind of feels like bullshit.
Yeah.
But so then eventually I'll just snap out of it and not do it anymore. But where if I'm actually like, if I see the light, quote unquote, if I see the light and I start fucking like actually like understanding something, and I do it out of my own out of my own will, then that's gonna stick a hell of a lot better than it would then if someone ramming this shit down your throat.
Yeah, that's kind of the tricky thing about we got a bunch of new associates over at where I work now.
Yeah.
So I get to either way. That's all right. The way that I train people, I'm pretty detailed about everything that I am because I'm going to treat you like in a micro way until I can see you walk. Until you kind of crawl on your own feet and walk and run and do all this other shit, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to stand over people. I want to be able to train people well, and then rather than the traditional restaurant training, which is throw spaghetti at a wall and see who fucking hacks it. Like one guy I already know we're gonna have to get rid of because he just keeps fucking wandering off and he's always doing some weird thing.
Restaurant works hard.
Yeah, it is. So but the whole thing, the tricky thing that I had to learn about training people was like, all right, I'm gonna give you the tools on how to be successful at this and how not to make your life miserable. But if I tell you this is the way we do it, don't ever do it any other way, they're probably going to get some pushback. So I got really good at training people without seeming like I'm trying to train them.
Yeah.
So, it's just a lot of weird things where it always comes under the guise of like, this is how you can make your life easier, but I never try to force them,
Well, I've always kind of had like a let live attitude towards people. I mean, I'll bitch, I'll complain. I'm not going to lie about that. But like I don't actively try and like fuck people up by trying to by making them change because I want them to. I honestly think it's someone's right to be a racist. They can be racist if they want. Granted, it's a miserable fucking existence.
Yeah, it's a poor choice.
It's a fucking terrible choice. But if they want to be that way, fucking be that way.
I would call it it's lazy thinking.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was this show or my other show that I do, but I made a point about Ty Cobb. I've been watching a lot of fucking.
Oh yeah, it was this one.
Yeah, where when he was dying, he's like, if I could have done it better, I would have had more friends. And the reason why is because he was a miserable fucking bastard.
Yeah.
And he was a racist, miserable bastard. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, you could go down that route, but this is what's going to end up happening.
Right.
And then,
you're not doing yourself any favors and stuff, but
yeah.
I get it, guys. Anger feels good, but
it's very it's like the meth of your soul.
Yeah, exactly. But you can't live off of it. When you try to do it, just poisons everything around you.
Oh, yeah, it does.
I know that's one of the things that I'm dealing with now. Not racism, anger.
You sure? I don't know. You should have heard this guy earlier. He was just nothing but just.
Yeah, the Swedes.
Oh man, he was going off about the fucking Scandinavians.
Yeah, I know. Jesus, who do they think they are? No, just because I was talking to my mom the other day, right? And I was telling her about this old lady that came in, and I was such an asshole to her. And blatantly, because she's an asshole to everybody else, she always tries to get something for free. So I'm like, oh, if you're going to try to do this, I'm going to make your life miserable.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you fucking fight and argue and cry and shake before you leave here. And oh, you got what you wanted. And guess what? I'm going to make it even tougher for you every fucking time. And they're like, but you can't treat customers that way. I'm like, oh, I just did. So yes, I can.
Yeah.
And I don't fucking care because you're like, well, you can't treat an old lady. I'm like, no, I can't treat my mom that way, and I wouldn't treat my mom that way. But this bitch didn't give birth to me, and I don't fucking know her shit. Nah. So this kind of anger that's coming out, right? And this is me toning it back a lot.
Yeah.
I'm telling my mom this, and my mom is like, mijo, you need to find another job. You are too angry. My mom. If you knew my mom and how much she loved to be angry back in the day, she just relished in it because she couldn't
She's got a 2nd-degree black belt and talking shit.
Yeah, exactly. And when she's telling me you are too angry, you need to mellow out, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to mellow out. But so I've taken steps to that in order to get myself out of that situation. But it's not the way that it's one of those things where like, holy shit, I am being a miserable piece of shit. I need to stop this.
Yeah, no, it's a terrible existence. And that's why, like, when people are like, we should ban them, I'm like, yeah, but like, if that ain't gonna, they're just gonna dig in deeper.
Yeah, you've never been to a small town where everybody's been banned.
Yeah,
everybody's been banned. Everybody's living in a small piece of shit town like the one that I grew up with. That means that nobody else wanted to live with those fuckers. And let me tell you, positivity and growth doesn't grow out of there.
You know what's funny is that drama is another one of those things too.
Yeah.
And especially with Facebook and all those like fucking those social media sites. You ever been somewhere and like someone is complaining about their Facebook drama and you know that your Facebook drama is way more elaborate and way more big, and they're like, and then this lady said, and I'm like, what's this lady do? Well, she's actually a manager at the Circle K up the street. Yeah. She's also my neighbor. So like we're just yelling at each other on Facebook, and I'm just like, you motherfuckers are the lamest motherfuckers I ever saw in my life. Why are you letting this shit get to you this badly?
Yeah, you know what? And really what it comes down to is, so this is one of the things that I had discovered, and we're going to get to our topics here in a little bit here, but we didn't want to spend the whole time talking about Tony Hinchcliffe or whatnot, but...
I had all these things written down about how I thought he really did like Asians.
Yeah. And I wish I knew which comic it was. I was in playing an online game and stuff, and I mentioned the Comedy Store, and somebody immediately starts throwing out all these rumors about, like, Hinchcliffe and all this other stuff, and I'm like, well, I wasn't there. I don't know what's going on.
This is a guy who was probably there for like about a month. Tony probably wasn't very nice to him, and he's like, well, he does bad stuff.
It's possible. Or he could have been everything that the guy said he was. I don't know.
Possibly. I mean, but then again.
But I don't know who was on the other line, who I was talking to, so I'm kind of like, shit, I don't know. Some people I will believe, most of them I won't.
Yeah.
But I discovered something, like, with when it came to the way that there's a lot of bad habits that I had growing up. I have conquered every single one of those, except for my diet and my health, right? And once I've realized what it was, why I'm like, if somebody was making me eat all the food that I had been eating, I'm like, this guy is not my friend. It's not like, hey, Dave, here's some food that's healthy for you that's going to keep you, be able to, like, and be in a good, healthy shape and live a nice, fruitful life. No, the food that I was eating is like, here, man, I hope you die at 50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, this is not a friend who's fucking doing this for me. So that person obviously is being myself. But the whole thing, what I discovered is that was a form of control that I thought about, that I had over my life, because I didn't want to deal with the things I thought that I don't have any control or influence over. Yeah. Like my anger, like my temper, like my job, like my career. All these other things, right? I'm like, oh man, like those things just seem so insurmountable, like such big obstacles. But I don't know if I can deal with that. But you know what? I get to choose what I put in my body. So fuck it. I'll put whatever I want. I'll do whatever I want, And that's just basically doing that. So I think when folks are fucking going crazy on Facebook and getting involved with drama, I think that is their version of eating a shitload of junk food and thinking that they're eating a salad.
Yeah.
That was just like, you think that you have some control over your life and your sphere of influence. I'm like, no, it really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost amazing, and I know I'm rambling on here, but do you remember the folks who were really into the social circle, like in high school, right?
Yeah.
They want to be at the top thing, they want everybody to like them, they want that stuff. I'm like, no, I get that, But at the time, I'm like, this seems like a wasted effort, because this is all going away in 4 years. Like, who the fuck cares? I don't fucking care who the most popular kid in high school was.
Well, that's what I told my siblings.
Yeah.
I was like, because they would complain about it, all the time. High school sucks, this and that. I'm like, listen, what are you, a sophomore? In 2.5 years, you're not going to know us. You're not going to see, you'll probably see one or two of these motherfuckers ever again in your entire life.
Right.
Even if you live in the town, like, you might still run into them once in a while.
But it's not going to be the same. There's weird. You even run into people that you weren't really friends with, but they're like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah. Like,
everything changes, man. So, but the whole thing was with social media was able to, like, hey, man, I want to keep that party going, of that weird social circle hierarchy that I fucking hated. But I want to keep that going on a day-to-day life, So either way, it's just control was finding that has been my ticket so far onto, like, another weapon to deal with that whole issue.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, if your life is miserable because you keep getting involved in fucking online drama, are you actually dealing with the shit that's going on in your life, or are you trying to fix stuff? You think that arguing with somebody online that you don't know, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, that's going to make a bigger difference rather than you working on your own shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're hiding, I think. That's how, if I could be blunt about it. you're that's being cowardly because you're letting yourself down. You got shit you need to work on. Fucking work on that instead of trying to fix everybody else's opinions. So that's what I had to tell myself. There's a reason why I don't comment on people's posts anymore, because I'm like, I'm not getting involved in any of this shit. I got other shit I got to deal with myself. So
yeah.
But let's see. I don't actually have a rant this week.
I don't either. Right. I mean, normally I do, but I don't. I mean, and if I did a V swing, I already did. Yeah. But people who don't tip. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Here's one thing I've been doing.
Wait, I do have something to talk about.
No. So there's this one thing I've been doing at work, and people at work are like looking at me like I'm crazy when I'm doing it. But I'm doing it right. I'm not being a dick. But sometimes people, there's an app you can use to buy the shit, like you can buy alcohol and have it delivered. There's an app. Mm-hmm. We don't run the app. We just use the app. And sometimes you can you tip, 10, 20, whatever the fucking percentage is, or you can hit cash tip.
Right.
And in order to do that, it's not an accidental thing. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking, like, you meant to do this. Like, you had to prompt into that. Like, it's not an accident.
Right.
So people who don't tip, now I just, instead of like getting mad and fucking walking away and then venting in my car, what I do is when they go, okay, have a good day, I go, oh, you forgot something. I just wanted to, just because they think that you want that they want me to have them sign something. Uh-huh. I go, I think you forgot something. I hold the clipboard up and I'll point at right where it says $0, and they fucking panic. I've never seen people panic in my life, because like they're being called immediately to the carpet.
Right.
Like, hey, and I'm not being a dick. I'm not being like, hey, you asshole, you forgot something. I'm just like, excuse me, I think you may have forgot something. Yeah. And very nice. And they'll look at that. They'll look at me, and they realize like, oh, this guy's he's like here.
Yeah, by the way, that's the scenario place you got here at this address that I just that I know.
Yeah,
where you're at.
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not, I know people that would back in the day. I had a friend of mine that had such bad road rage, he'd follow people home and then throw bricks through their window.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's really good until somebody pulls out a gun and fucking pulls out.
Yeah. Well, it was a dude from South that I knew, South Boston. So, but anyway,
I'll show him.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
But anyway, so no, but I'm not a dick about it. But I call them out, and you would be surprised how quick they can muster up $5 You'd be fucking shocked. Actually, the thing is they panic, and what are they gonna say? No, and if they say no, I was like, okay, cool. Next time you order, you're gonna get your shit in 3 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in 30 minutes. You're gonna get it in 3 fucking days.
Right.
And what are you gonna do? Complain? Oh, I didn't tip them, so that's why they gave me shitty service. Well, that's how this works. And here's another thing. This is actually maybe a bit I'm working on, but I hate when bougie motherfuckers look at you when you talk about tipping, and they're like, well, we're really the only country that does it. In other countries, it's looked down upon, tipping. And I'm like, yeah, that's great and all. Where are we right now?
Yeah.
We're in America, motherfucker. Like, read the news. Right. There's a school shooting. A cop shot a black guy. We're in America. Let me test the wind. We're in America, motherfucker. Where's my $5, bitch? You know what I mean? Like, that's just a bougie way to be a dirtbag. By being like, oh, I went to France once and you don't tip there. Right. It's like,
well, it's also
good for you.
Completely different pay structure, a different lifestyle that goes.
Dude, yeah, we're not them. So. Stop with this shit. Like, stop. Like,
I get that too. Like, there was other folks and stuff that basically are like, I'm gonna take my rage over the past 200 years or 300 years out on you and not tip, and then wonder why they get shit service. So there's that too. From there's a couple different types of folks.
I thought we weren't gonna do racist shit like
that. No.
I'm kidding.
There were just some folks who were, I don't know, they're like, oh, I don't feel like I believe to. And I'm like, all right, whatever, but man. I also don't go out to eat with those folks either because
I will if I'm in a party with you and we go out to eat and you don't tip, I'm going to dress you down in public. I did it to my brother at all places fucking
I've Olive Garden of all places.
No, fucking Casa Bonita of all fucking places, yeah. Which, by the way, I hope it comes back. I just hope it's ran better because it's hilarious to eat dinner in what looks to be an eccentric fucking Mexican drug lord's house.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's what it looks like. Hey, we got it. It's just you're eating a shitty burrito and watching a guy jump off of a cliff into a fucking like what? I'm
gonna go into Black Bart's cave. Like, why is there a cave here? It's just fun to go into.
Yeah.
Right? Like that place. It was man. There was this radio. bit, I think from like on 93.3 or something, or Nerf's 5 at 5 or something.
Yeah.
And it was this whole thing like, come to Casa Bonita. It's a whole restaurant inspired by a bad acid trip that the other had and stuff, where we have a cave from a mythical villain, cliff diver on top of mariachis, as well as the worst food. And that's not the worst food ever. That's just basically cafeteria Mexican food. But nobody's going there for the food anyways.
Yeah.
Like, I understand, like, dude, if this was... there's no way you're going to get to frickin' if you can't go to Disneyland or any of the big amusement parks and stuff. The Casa Bonita was a frickin', like, if you were, just imagine you're 8 years old when you're there. Half the games don't work. Most of the prizes are shit, but, you know, like, it is what it is.
No.
And so, it's, you know, it was there. My rant that I was going to have for this week.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, my brother didn't tip when we went there. That's,
All right.
He didn't, you know, he tipped like $2. And this poor server, you could tell, was like quadruple sat or something.
Yeah.
Because she's running around. She's sweating her balls off. She's trying to fucking figure out what the fuck's going on. Mm-hmm. And she got her food out to us in a reasonable time. Right. It wasn't bad. Nothing was fucked up. Everything was on target. Mm-hmm. And I tipped her like, I think my bill was like $10. I think I tipped her like $7 or something. Or I just threw a 20 down and said, keep it. Yeah. And everyone else tipped relatively fine. My brother tips like basically like $1. Yeah. And I go, what the fuck are you doing? And he's just like, what? Her service is bad. I'm like, I swear to God, I will beat the fuck out of you in this goddamn place.
There was a cliff right over there. Yeah. I will chuck you off. Yeah.
I'm like, you better tip more, bitch. And he's just like, what? I'm like, I fucking heard me. And like, me and him are yelling at each other over the table. And he's just like, all right, fine, fuck, I'll do it. And he threw like another $5 down. I'm like, good. All right, we can leave now without feeling like assholes, you fucking prick. But yeah, go ahead. You're right. My bad.
No, you know. My thing was, and this one, I am conflicted because I could see both sides of it, right? And that Drewski, Drew A's is in there, let the poor bastard train
Every fucking, I thought I ordered this medium, and this is like, now it's a hockey puck. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm like, well, listen, I'm fucking dealing with somebody.
So I'm sorry, my boss is watching his brother on a live stream.
Yeah, like I hope to God there's like 3 steaks on there, all good. Like one medium rare, one medium, one, you know, like, oh shit, how do I do this? Start as a hockey puck, it's okay. Right. So the thing is that I see like there was this group that I belong to called Stupid Questions in the Restaurant Industry. And there's a lot of folks that are posting memes up there like, you want us to go back to work, but you don't want to pay us a living wage. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that whole argument.
So like I could see both parts of it because I don't think anybody's in the right or anybody's in the wrong on this. So because let's put it this way, man, when I was making $2 an hour, that for the longest time that was what the wage was for servers.
Yeah, I remember that.
All right, and but you made enough of tips because it didn't really matter and stuff. You're like, all right, and there was plenty of people that wanted to work. This is also before Lyft and Uber took a shitload of waiters and bartenders out of the industry. Yeah. So there was that, and but then they say, hey, we need you to like regrout the tile, and I want you to do some detail cleaning and stuff, and that's when you really felt the $2 an hour. You're like, yeah, you don't pay me enough to fucking keep the preventive maintenance up on this place. You make a lot of money. So that's when I think the restaurants were taking advantage of the labor. But in the years past, so now the way they have it is like in Denver, anyways, the minimum wage was like $12.44.
Yeah, like for tip, yeah, because I'm one of them.
Yeah, so basically the way it works now is that we're going to pay you $8.50 an hour, and if the tips do not reach up to like that $12.44, which more often than not it goes past that, right? Let's say if it's like nobody tips, you got all the cash people or whatever, then it's up to the business to make up the difference in that in the hourly rate. Yeah. Right. So that was one of the things. So you're still you are making that minimum wage and stuff, but most servers let's put it this way, man. If you're a server and they're having to hit that tip credit for you all the time, either that place sucks and you need to find a new job, or you really, really suck at that job. And because everything when it comes to like the restaurant industry, the way we have it now, it's incentive based for the most part, is that you're supposed to do a better job. You get better customers, regulars, things like that, and that's kind of how you make the extra money. I know some folks say that, no, it doesn't really matter. I'm like, yeah, it does. I've been in long enough. It actually does.
Yeah, it does.
So what I don't think the folks understand, there's two things about this, is that a lot of restaurants are short-staffed right now, right?
Oh, yeah,
so the people online are there. I've seen not everybody online, but the people are like, well, it's their fault because they're not paying a decent living wage. I'm like, all right, For the folks who, I understand everybody has many different reasons for being on unemployment right now, and I'm really trying hard not to be judgy about that shit because we've got friends that are on it because it's the right move for them right now. But
Oh yeah.
but just understand, I'm talking about the people that used to work at the places that I've worked at. We've been working understaffed while you guys have been calling out every Sunday. That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like you guys are waiting for the right time until you get more money, you can come back. But the thing is, you weren't the one who was working to keep the restaurant going this entire time. So I'm going to say, like, hypothetically, the hypothetical restaurant where I still wait tables, which I don't, I would just say this to you. If you think you're getting a closing section, you're out of your fucking mind. You are first cut every fucking night for the next 6 months. I'm going to make sure that you make only $40 a shift. I'm going to take every one of your good fucking tables because you didn't want to come back and help. So fuck you. So that's exactly how like the folks who've been working in the restaurant for the longest time, trying to keep things going, trying to keep the doors open, and then there's these other folks who are kind of like, no, we don't want to go back. And I'm like, now there's a part where, and we're going to get into this when it comes to empathy, because that statement that I just made has zero empathy in it whatsoever, and that's by design. So the problem with that is that I'm not looking at the many reasons why folks would stay on unemployment. So that's what I'm saying is that I've definitely got. I'm not 100% on that, right? That's why I could see both sides of the argument. But I just feel like working short-staffed all the time, you're like, man, I wish we would get more applicants in or more folks who are looking for jobs. But
also, this whole situation has completely destroyed the argument for UBI.
Yeah.
There's no way you can have UBI anymore. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it proved it doesn't work. Because if people aren't going to want to work, if they're like, what the fuck's the point? You know what I mean? Like, why
in
bother?
this case, it's stuff like, I don't know, there has to be a bit more stipulations about it, you know? That's what I would think. I think
like,
I just censored.
What happened?
No, you didn't. No, you haven't been censored, Drew.
Oh.
Burger started out as a hockey puck. I was adjusting the a thing on the thing.
I think your Tipper Gore bridge.
See, that's only somebody who, like, if you're around in the 80s, folks, you know who that is. So,
I got one quick one.
Sure.
It's political. All you liberals out there that are virtue signaling for fucking Liz Cheney can shut the fuck up. Shut your fucking dumb fucking mouth. I'm tired of this whole, like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You realize who the fuck this idiot is? You realize who the fuck she is? Yeah, she doesn't like Trump. Big fucking deal. She also, if she had her way, would be bombing the fuck out of brown people at an amazing clip. Because of, freedom. I mean, oil. I mean, freedom. You know what I mean? Give me a fucking break. You know who her father was, right? You remember that motherfucker? You remember that Darth Vader? Yeah. Darth Vader with that fucking shitty heart? That fucking bag of shit? That dude, that chick was the one who was going on. She is like this with John Bolton, who's also a piece of shit. Anybody who's one of these fucking neocon warhawk motherfuckers who never will go to war or send their kids there, but they'll send your kids there.
Yeah.
Because, reasons. So, let's be honest, man. Can you motherfuckers stop? Because they're like, oh, it's because she didn't fall in line with the Trump Republicans. I mean, that probably is the case, but I'm happy she's gone. You know why? Because she's a warmongering piece of shit. That's why. That's exactly why. And they're going to primary her in her own state, which is going to be great, which means she'll be out of politics, and I can't wait for that. Because the Cheney family is fucking hot garbage. And they need to, like, never go into politics again.
Right.
So, to all my liberal friends out there who think this is amazing,
wasn't she the Pelosi protege?
No. She's a Republican. But she's like a Bush Republican.
Like
she's
a neocon as opposed to the neocon.
Yeah, she's a neocon. She's basically like, hey, we should go into. She's the one who will tell you that Syria, that Assad gassed his own people, when he didn't. That's a fact. It was actually...
He told Jake. He actually called him.
Yeah, he called me. He's like, hey, listen, man, I know a lot of people talking shit, but listen, it wasn't me. It was ISIS that did it. And it actually was ISIS that did it.
That'd be funny if they're like, yeah, we're really taking India and Syria. Like, fucking Assad fucking loves this show.
He's a big fan.
You heard it from here first. She sounds like my first wife. I don't know if Liz Cheney was as evil as your first wife, man. I don't know. Like,
really? Is that bad, huh? Was she also killing lots of brown people in foreign countries?
Not yet. But
Uh,
no, you know what? I'm gonna say that. No, because her kids. I love my nieces and nephews. I'm not gonna say shit, but I was trying to be funny there, but you know what it was.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah. I thought that was pretty crazy. Where I'm like, oh yay, they're trying to mess with like.
It's like, do you know who you're fucking defending?
It's crazy that she admitted that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is. Um, yeah, it was just kind of crazy where you could tell like you guys are running out of shit to be outraged about.
Yeah, stop. And also, I mean, this whole Trump hate, it killed everything. It killed late night. You can't watch late night TV shit anymore.
No.
'Cause everyone's just like, Orange Man, bad. Applaud. Hey, I got a joke for you guys. Ready? Orange Man, guess what?
Bad.
He's bad.
Right.
Where's the love? There is no more love. We're all fucked.
No, this show.
Yeah.
So that's a good question. Actually, it's a good lead into the stuff we wanted to talk about this week. And Jake was nice enough to write notes, which I was not nice enough to forget about.
That's all right.
So one of the things we were going to talk about.
Where is the sex? Dude, you're asking the wrong guy. I haven't seen pussy. If a vagina committed a crime, and the police are like, "Hey, can you describe it?" I'd be like, "I have no idea what it looks like." It was wearing a hoodie. I got fucking yeah.
They got on a mask. It was very elusive.
Yeah. Didn't want to talk to me anyway. It was fine.
Yeah. All right, we wanted to talk about empathy.
Yeah.
So empathy is one of those buzzwords, I think.
Pussy police.
Right. Empathy is one of those words that has like a kind of a gross, fuzzy feeling about it. Because there's a lot of granola people with fucking, man buns and shit and wearing yoga pants who are like, we need to be more empathy. But it's not necessary just because it's used by people that you might find annoying doesn't mean it's not something you should really learn, because this is kind of how you deal with problem solving and with people that you don't agree with. Right. And one of the first things we were talking about, just an example that we'll throw out to you guys, is that not everything that's important to you, for all the young fellas out there, is going to be as important to other people. So the first one, we're just using this as an example, right? Not saying that we're trying to diminish any of these topics and stuff. I'm just going to let you know. So pronouns, okay? There are some folks that their whole life is just, that's the most important thing in their life, that they be identified which pronouns that they want. They put it on everything. They want to let you know that it's he, him, all this other stuff, or they, them, and all that. It's very, very important to them. All right. Now, somebody who's like in a war-torn country on the other side of the planet, who's trying to figure out how to protect all of his family from getting killed by a warlord, they're not going to give a shit about, or they're going to be less likely to give a shit about your pronouns. Now, does that mean that your pronouns are important in that thing? No, but I'm using it as a stark contrast, is that other people have other stuff going on in their life, and the most important thing in their life is the most important thing in their life. So it's important to, just from a starting point, like, why these fuckers don't give a shit?
Yeah.
What are they? Are they evil? Are they are they, such and such phobic or whatever thing? Maybe. Or maybe that's just not on their radar, and not everybody has to have the same thing on each other's radar. Like, this is the thing that you should be focused about. No, I'm focused on the stuff that's right in front of me right now.
Yeah, like I'm worried about paying my bills.
Yeah,
this and that. Yeah, or like other stuff.
Let's see. Drew A says, can't believe the people who are really adamant about the pronoun thing for people they have been trying to find their identity and deny it for a long time, so now they're really on top of letting you know who they are. Yeah. But I get it, but which is true, but the point I was saying is that starting from a place of empathy, is trying to understand, like, okay, maybe that's not as important, whatever direction you're going on that. It really isn't about the pronoun thing. We're just using that as an example.
Yeah. And people get empathy confused with respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just one of those things where you start off like, okay, why do they not feel the way that I feel about things? Let's start with that question.
Yeah.
And the lazy thinking is, oh, it's just because they're pieces of shit or whatever. That's lazy fucking thinking. That's not going to get you anywhere. Maybe you have to go like, oh, okay, well, maybe what's the reason why? Maybe, are they ill-informed? Do they just not know? Is it because of how they grew up? Is it because the environment they lived, or maybe just out of ignorance? More than likely, it's probably out of ignorance. But the whole thing is, these are the questions that you start with, so that way you can empathize with somebody that you don't agree with. Why that's so important is because the way that technology has changed our interaction in this day and age is that we get to tune out all the things that we don't agree with. And that's a good and a bad thing. It's good that, like, Drew, we grew up in the same town and stuff. How many times did we hear stuff about Latinos or Mexicans from people who didn't know that we were half Mexican?
That must have been hilarious.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was so great.
They give you the old nudge. Yeah, they're still in our jobs and they're fucking lazy. Like, excuse me. Like I'm kind of.
Yeah, until they go over to the house and they meet my mom. Like,
yeah.
Oh shit.
I would love to be a fly on the wall when that happened. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Right? I just feel bad that the first Mexican they got to meet was my mom when she was in full rage mode.
Oh, I love watching. Yeah, I love watching motherfuckers step in buckets. Oh, it's so funny. Oh, just fucking hilarious.
But the thing is that what I had to learn growing up is that, like, I always assumed it was because they didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, granted, there was I wouldn't call them skinheads, but they kind of affiliated themselves with that whole thing.
Yeah.
Just because they were looking for a place to community to begin with, or
white nationals or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Growing up and stuff, but that was. I also had to remember, I'm like, through that empathy, I'm like, it's probably because they're looking for a place to belong, or they're looking for friends, or it could be that their parents are fucking pieces of shit, or they're just been taught in this anger and hate that's going down generations and stuff. So having to at least try to see things from where they're at, or see why, not to agree with it, but just to see where they're coming from, then you can kind of open up a line of communication and try to find a way to work things out. That's how shit gets solved. It's not about excommunicating and pushing everything that you don't like to hear off so that way you don't have to see it. I mean, there's a difference between, there's a fine line, right? Like, if somebody was, here's an example. I had a friend of mine, or the guy that I used to see at the cab station when I was a cabbie in Phoenix. He kept posting pictures or videos of robbers who were holding up liquor stores, and the store owner would fucking shoot him in the face. Like, I kept seeing, like, at one point I saw 3 people get fucking murdered.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, why are you posting, like, what, I'm like, unfollow, whatever. I'm like, this is really, really fucked up stuff. So there's that, right, which is somebody getting shot. But then there's, like, I don't like you keep posting this type of music or your political views. I want to just keep muting you on all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Which I've done that to a few people, too.
I actually did it to somebody today.
Yeah. Oh,
it's,
really?
When you
Hey, let's shout him out. Who is it? No.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think it's Art Barker, I think the dude's name is. I don't know.